we knew going into this meet, this was in March of 2022. We found out a couple weeks before the meet, the NCAA, of course, they were pandering back and forth, sitting on the fence. Do we let him compete with the women? Do we not? Ultimately, they decided like 3 weeks before they announced that his participation in the women's category was a non-negotiable. So we knew we would be competing against him. We did not know we would be changing in the locker room. There was no forewarning. There was no ways that we could have made other arrangements for ourselves if this was something that we felt uncomfortable with. The first time that we became aware we would be undressing next to this 6'4", 22-year-old man, fully intact, fully exposing himself, was when we were inches away from said man fully exposing himself.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll kind of set the scene because the swimming locker room, it's not a place of modesty. These suits that you put on, they're skin tight, they're paper thin. It takes about 15, 20 minutes your racing suit to really poke and prod yourself into these suits. 20 minutes of which you're fully exposed, very intimate. You have friends oftentimes like helping you get yourself into these suits. Then I think we can all agree, a locker room's not a comfortable place, but growing up a swimmer, you almost become comfortable feeling vulnerable in that environment. But I want you to put yourself in our shoes or your daughter in our shoes. You have your back turned, again, putting on your suit, and all of a sudden you hear a man's voice in that locker room. You turn around, you look up because he's so tall, and there's a 6'4" man undressing, taking off his women's swimsuit and putting on his street clothes.
Wow.
It's feelings of course, it's awkward, it's embarrassing, it's uncomfortable. It was inherent for every girl in that changing space to cover themselves, whether it was with their hand or their clothes or their towels, and to get out as quickly as they could. But I think the best way to describe how we felt was, it was an utter violation. It felt like betrayal. And really, it was traumatic. And not even just traumatic because of what we were forced to see or how we were forcibly exploited. It was traumatic for me to know just how easy it was for those people who created these policies, enforced these policies, to totally dismiss our rights to privacy without even a second thought, without even bare minimum forewarning us that this would be the arrangement.
And when you think about the messaging before he got to you, he was swimming with the UPenn swimmers on their team, and those girls had quietly tried to raise objections because they'd been going through this all season, and were told they needed therapy to work on their bigotry.
They were told they were the problem. 16 of the girls signed on to an email to University of Pennsylvania. Some of these girls even victims, previous victims, survivors of sexual assault. I know of one girl who was raped in a bathroom setting prior to going to college. And so this was understandably a very triggering and traumatic experience for her. And so 16 signed on to the school expressing their discomfort in the locker room, to which the school, I swear I have a screenshot of the email. The school responded back with, if you feel uncomfortable seeing male genitalia, here are some counseling resources that you should seek in an attempt to re-educate yourselves. They had to go to mandatory LGBTQ education meetings weekly to learn about how just by being cisgender, they were oppressing Lia Thomas. Their school even went as far as to tell these girls that if they did speak out and any harm whatsoever were to come towards Thomas's way, whether it was physical harm, mental harm, emotional harm, self-inflicted for that matter, they said, then understand you girls are solely responsible. And that would make you responsible for a potential death. And that would make you a murderer.
Oh my gosh.
And you don't want to be a murderer, do you? No, so I suggest you be kind and I suggest you be inclusive.
This is so stomach turning. Just to hear you describe it is deeply alarming because it's happening right now to much younger girls too. Not that it was easy at the college level, but you and I both know it's happening to 10-year-olds, to 12-year-olds who don't have any sort of maturity yet to deal with this kind of a thing. And not for nothing, but there's no question in my mind and in the minds of many experts on this issue that it's not normal in any way for an actual gender-confused person, an actual trans person, to show off his penis in a women's locker room. The people who make up the 2% of trans people who are legitimately gender confused and have been since birth and have lived their lives like that, they don't want you to see their penis. They're actually trying to hide that and to blend in with women. People who do what Lia Thomas did tend to be overwhelmingly autogynephiles who are aroused sexually by dressing as women and being around women while they're pretending to be women.
100%.
And so the odds of this guy getting off on the fact that you were uncomfortable are extremely high.
100%. And yeah, to your point, which I haven't really thought of it this way, but it's such a good point because someone who is gender dysphoric, they're so uncomfortable with their own body that they would never expose themselves out in the open in that way because they're dysphoric about that.
Right.
That was not the case with Lia Thomas, which he's actually been on social media and liked posts and commented on posts and reposted things that say he is an AGP.
Oh, they're very dark.
Oh.
I mean, they make it very clear. The Daily Wire did a whole expose on it, pardon the pun, and it was deeply alarming. And we've invited Lia Thomas to come on the show and talk to us about it and deny it if he wants to. He hasn't taken us up on that.
No.
But what we're doing to our young girls, it's morally wrong. It's evil. There was just a story, I know you saw this out of West Virginia. That court ruled against the young woman. That's a 13-year-old girl, I think, who was playing against a male. Hold on, let me get my notes. And this young boy said, I'm a girl, and I've been a girl. I've been taking the hormones and all that. But the young actual girl said, okay, you may say you're a girl, but you keep threatening to do things to me with your penis in the most vile and offensive terms possible, and you keep winning races with faster times than most of the girls have and all of that. And the court in West Virginia sided with the trans student.
It goes to show you no one is immune. And this is something I see across the board. I live in Tennessee, which is a very, for the most part, conservative state. We've got great leaders in our state who do wonderful things. But in talking with people, community members, parents, even kids in the state, they say, oh, well, that's not happening here. We're in Tennessee. Ooh, that would be your first mistake, because it certainly is. I think complacency is ultimately how we've got here, because we said, oh, it won't affect me. This isn't happening to me. And then it does.
Let me tell you a story about a guy named Leo Grillo. Leo was on a road trip and came across a Doberman. This dog was severely underweight and clearly in trouble. Leo rescued the dog and named him Delta. But sadly, Delta was just one of many animals that needed help. And this inspired Leo to start Delta Rescue, the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. They've rescued thousands of dogs, cats, and horses from the wilderness, and they provide their animals with shelter, love, safety, a home. April marks 45 years since Leo rescued Delta. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions. If you want caring for these animals to be part of your legacy, speak with your estate planner, because there are tax benefits here too. You can grow your estate while letting your love for animals live well into the future. Check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more and speak with your advisor. We call a dog a man's best friend for a reason. You can help those who need it most. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.